Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. After the quick break, it is time to continue the PWC qualifier land. My name is Rain Day, and I'm joined by Gore Miser here on my left-hand side. How are you doing, Gore?
I'm doing good. I'm
Yeah.
actually really excited. This is probably one of the matches. That last one was very action-packed because that's the first PPL team that is gone, but this one is going to see if ZAGA are really here to play or if maybe we're going to lose our LATAM representative early on.
That's right. Space Station Gaming's still here, but LATAM trying to represent once more at HRX. They had a really good run earlier on in January this year. A little bit of a different team representing, though, and that's been the big story. A new representative for this region, which is typically seen Hecate and Puleule and Fuzzy Logic and Sadak, and these guys continue to dominate in LATAM. The falling of the old guard and the rise of the new guard has been the storyline, and so far they've given some decent performances but haven't been able to pull out the wins. Do you think today's going to be the day that they do it?
I mean, today has to be the day they do it. Otherwise, they don't get to play anymore for this length of it. But I do think Cryptik is probably the best chance they have in order to start getting those wins. It's just one of those things, Cryptik, especially the way they looked yesterday, things were very shaky from them. They got beat out by Armada 2-0.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they have the confidence, honestly, even in themselves at this point, to be able to say that they can beat ZAGA.
Yeah, the question is that more about Armada or was that more about Cryptik? And to me, I actually think that was a little bit more about Armada.
Yeah.
Armada have even to the Renegades, who just won over Mouse Sports. They beat the Renegades in map 1. I mean, they lost the next 2 maps, but Armada do well at land. Whatever it is about their composition, we mentioned the jovial nature of their team, the way they're all kind of a band of brothers and sisters there. When they travel, they have fun together, and they then bring that to the game with the confidence of Ovim. We don't really know the way that Puleule and Moondog and Exterminia have been able to mesh as a unit yet.
And that's actually something that we were talking about, me and Vox were talking about earlier today, was just looking at Armada. Like, Cryptik, they lost both games. They lost against Ying both times.
Yeah.
But the question is whether or not, was it like the Ying pick, was it their draft, or was it the fact that Ovim's Ying was ridiculous and the rest of the team played at a different level than I think we've seen out of them perform, especially with 2 people who hadn't played with them online. So coming into this, again, you have a couple of new people showing up overall for ZAGA,
Yeah.
but it's like Puleule. Like, it's people who you know can perform. It's just how long have they had to really mesh, and can they bring out the performance that they need to?
And it does really make you think, is there the talent there at the start to be able to make it happen, especially on the side of Cryptik, who have shown up at LAN. They've actually had a couple of wins over the former Splice roster members who's now Sanguine, and they actually have had a couple of nice moments there, but they haven't been able to really put a run together. But Kev, Falcon, Graphies, GC2M2, Fluffy Koala, and Kamaker, of course, looking to make some statements today, looking to say that we are, in fact, the #1 seed in Europe, which they are technically, but again, Sour Team have taken kind of the wins against them when they've had to go head-to-head with this iteration of the team that's at LAN. And so there's a lot to prove on their side.
And a lot that is just kind of resting on their shoulders again. Like, you expect, or I think everyone kind of in the community, like, there's this thing of when you're Europe, especially considering, like, you typically win world championships,
Right.
you typically win lands. Like, if you're a European team, you're supposed to come in swinging for the fences. You're supposed to be the ones that aren't getting knocked down into the lower bracket already. I kind of expect, and I think a lot of people did yesterday, to see once Sour Team won, Cryptik to go against them and have a PGS rematch. So having a different PGS matchup in the top bracket and a completely different region to face this time for Cryptik, I don't know how much they know about ZAGA, how much research they put into them, if they know how to shut down people like Exterminia and actually keep them under control.
Exterminia and Moondog, we mentioned, very old Paladins players. Really not likely that the European crew would be queuing NA to face them, because we do see a lot of Latin American players, Brazilian players queue those NA regions, a little bit higher population of players, so we'll sometimes see them in casuals. And that's where we get those horrible experiences where we realize that, yes, I can verify this guy went 30-0 against me. He's very good. And now, you know, like Mouse Sports had trouble kind of knowing what ZAGA were going to do, and that, like, hey, should we ban Dredge? Like, we've seen a little bit of, like, some stuff there. You know, it ends up being a very important, I think, kind of conversation. Do they know enough about each other to make accurate decisions? And if you don't, how do you play the draft phase?
It's going to be up against the wall. I think standard bans so far, both of these teams have focused a lot on the Makoas, on the Torvalds, just the standard of, okay, this is what we know has been strong, this is what we know is going to be good on land based on the scrims we've been having, so we'll get rid of those. But Kanessa actually has come out as a ban before, depending on the map, depending on the players as well. I feel like ZAGA have a little bit more of that, again, kind of like the Hecate effect, I think is what I had called it a couple days ago, where it's just they have someone with really, really good aim. They have someone who you do have to worry about, the snipers, the Androxus, every of those champions that can come through. But at the same time, if you can control them, you're scot-free.
You are scot-free. You are the Bond scot-free MVP of the last game as well. Starting things off for Renegade. Saw him in the hallway. Quiet, but maybe determined. A lot of pressure on him. Still just marveling at the way Renegades are so, like, out in the open with the way that their roster is. It's like, Bot's got, he's barely played any Paladins, so, I guess we kind of feel better. Like, we don't feel that confident, but we feel pretty good. I mean, they're happy about the win, but, man, have some press answers, in my opinion. It's like, we're working hard. Bon Scott's fitting in well, trying to improve each game. And I think that's what ZAGA talent clearly are trying to do. Haven't had a chance to talk with them much because they did lose. They didn't get that interview for the winner side. And so we haven't really been able to hear about Puleole, his thoughts, how these games went. Because you know what? Honestly, these games kind of could have gone either way.
And a lot of it, when it came down to it, is Zarini. This moment, he finally dies. But in every other moment of that set against Sour Team, when ZAGA, they just had so much trouble killing off the Inara. I'm actually kind of wondering if maybe they turn their eyes towards Inara bans just because it is so much pressure to deal with her. I mean, Makoa, you can handle. It's not going to be the easiest thing, but you can still handle him. The same thing goes for Khan, who we've seen get picked up and online had wide success, but so far yesterday, it was not really that clean for him.
ZAGA's map pick here is Bright Marsh. And it will be a great test of people watching, trying to understand power rankings here right now, because Sour Team, albeit closely, beat out 2-0 in terms of ZAGA talent gaming. Yes. Now, if ZAGA can go and, dominate here in this set, it would definitely give you the awareness of who is that top PGS seed, despite the actual seeding here. But I think this is a great opportunity, like I said, for Sour Team, for Cryptik to prove themselves against some top competition, some veteranship of the Puleole, and some experience that he's bringing to the skill shot land here for the PWC qualifiers. There's a close-up shot of the man himself, pushing the boundaries of what Frontlines can do, people have said about that man right there.
Always like being able to see the players and just that one glimpse before they really get into it, before the picks and bans come through. Because once you start seeing picks and bans, that's when the stone face comes on.
Yeah.
But right before that, you get to see like the little smirks, the little jokes. Like, how are you feeling? If you're nervous, most of the time, like maybe there's like a very nervous chuckle. Maybe there's, again, maybe some stone faces coming through. We saw Renegades before that last set, all smiles, all happy, joking, talking with each other. And you can still kind of get that feel from ZAGA, but you could definitely see there's some tension in the room. They know a lot is on the line here, and they don't feel, at least from what I've seen, as confident, I think, as you could going up against a team like Cryptik.
And to credit the set we just saw, I think Renegades did a great job of going to Ice Mines first. They got to feel out Mouse Sports so well.
Yeah.
And ZAGA and Cryptik are going to Bright Marsh. This is ZAGA's pick, so this is comfort. ZAGA, I think, are trying to pull something out and get a fast win, maybe catch Cryptik off guard. And you have to say that it's going to benefit ZAGA here, having played Cryptik's closest match in this tournament in Sour Team just a day or two ago. The ability to have that same reference point of, these guys are relatively similar. They play each other. They're in the same region. They're competing against each other week in and week out for 6 weeks in a row heading into this event. We got a pretty good glimpse of the type of players we're going to be playing against.
And now you're in this position, like you said, where we don't exactly know what we expect. Like, you've seen Cryptik before, you've seen ZAGA before. I'm assuming both of these teams sat down last night because they had plenty of time to be able to go through VOD review. What did they do yesterday? What did they do 2 days ago? What were they doing on their online split? Like, give us the games that mattered the most. You watch ZAGA's last week of play, you see them up against the likes of Free Agent Boys. That gives you a good peek into what they are about, what can give them a win, what kind of strategy they go for. And Jaguar Falls, Bright Marsh, maps like this are typically where they will drive things. That's typically where they want to go because it works well for the Androxus, which is something that they have, I think, 2 or 3 players that play really, really well. But like you said, it's going to be 12 minutes.
I want to bring up the coaches here as well. You could see some smiles on my man on the left side. Yesterday we pointed out, look, he looked a little bit more serious, right? And I don't know why that is, but it's very important. When you are in sports or competition, there's a feel to a team, to a player. You can go, this guy's tense. Oh, this guy's focused. Oh, this guy's like really lackadaisical, or this guy's out of it, right? I actually like the way Cryptik are feeling. In terms of a visual look, they seem a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident heading into this matchup.
And even just going back to that shot, you see the coach, you see ZAGA leaning back, quiet. Like, a couple of words coming out, but like, again, when you look at the face, you can kind of see when tension is there.
Yeah.
And it's not like this intense stress. They're not going to, crumble under the pressure. It's not an exam they never studied for that's coming up right now.
Oh, God.
It is something they've
prepared for. I still have nightmares
for,
about that.
But
Math homework I've never turned in.
Pick it up.
That I feel is some professor out there is still waiting and still has my F ready to go. It's just, do you ever have those dreams?
Oh, yeah. No, and
man.
that's the worst. I hate waking up at 3 in the morning thinking I've forgotten an assignment, and it's like, I've graduated.
Wait,
like,
dude, I've been out of school for 5 years. Wait, excuse me? No. That's how school will get you sometimes, I swear.
It's an ever-living stress. I think my dad even still has dreams like that.
God, please. I'm ending my dreams. By age 30, no more school dreams for sure. I haven't had one in a while, but I know that they do exist. Picks and bans on the way here for ZAGA and Cryptik. We mentioned ZAGA not having some of the confidence, maybe the exuberance, maybe just the lack of tension that we saw yesterday, and now maybe owning that a little bit. Is it because they've bet on PWC, or they've had to introduce PWC and they were hoping for more and they didn't get it, and now there's question marks in the air?
I think for them, it's one of those things of, well, we beat Free Agent Boys, and Free Agent Boys made such a great run, so we should be able to make such a great run, right? Like, you come in with a little bit more confidence because of who you were able to beat to get here, and then Sour Team, it didn't necessarily handle you, but they definitely made sure that you knew where you were in comparison to them. It was a 2-0. Some of it was a lot of close moments. There were a lot of great moments from ZAGA, but it was very controlling from the European team. So being able to come into this one, recognizing you're playing a team that plays Sour Team all the time, they play a very similar style. It starts to cause a little bit more, okay guys, we gotta focus up. We gotta be able to get into the zone, like, don't think about anything else. But now some smiles are starting to come through, so I think they're starting to crack through that shell.
100% pick ban rate, 50% win rate. That's what I would expect from Nanara. Maybe about 55. I'd expect that in this high-level scene. She's going to be able to be played well, but she's going to give you an even chance to win or lose. That's really what that's about. And now let's take a look at what Cryptik respond with in the draft.
I wonder if locking her in just gave them, like, they were having nightmares about Inara just never dying, constantly getting healed, constantly being spun. And so they get her, and they're like, finally, yes, we get to be the ones who never die.
Fernando and Ying taken here. Ying jumping up in priority in these picks and bans, getting taken higher and higher. I wonder, 69% win rate, if that has something to do with it.
There is no
It is one of the things Vox had pointed out during the last death segment, that she typically goes where we actually see Torvald right now. She's normally in that second phase for the first pick team because the other team doesn't value their support that high, but she has been doing so much work. Her ult is so good, and it comes up so often that there's really no way to truly beat it. Even Death and Taxes Leon has trouble dealing with it.
And we're seeing a lot more of these kind of not paying attention to Torvald drafts, where Torvald's just suddenly, pick ban 100%, and then all of a sudden, or ban 100%, but now he's available on the table. People are giving a chance for Torvald to be a factor in this game. Willow with a 35% pick rate and a 33% win rate. Look at that. Interesting stats here coming out to round out Cryptik's lineup, which is very deadly, very, very healthy, and has a lot of burst damage attached.
I think a lot is riding on ZAGA's last two picks. I think in Androxus, on Bright Marsh, it's something they've run in the past. It's something that goes well with Torvald. Talus as well is something that we've seen successful here. But at the same time, it seems a lot more shaky than these last couple days on land than it ever seemed online. Zin has been making a huge splash.
Well,
and so I'm wondering if maybe we'll see some shifts in the flank, I guess, pool as time goes on.
Sure, I think Zin's gonna. I think Zin will show up. I think that was a good call here. We have another damage flex potentially for Cryptik. And this is sometimes the most valuable thing you can have, that last pick. They take the Ying early because obviously she's doing so well, nearly 70% wins. But now they can flex damage. And no, I think this is production baiting us out. If it is the Dredge, I'll be happy to see it, but I'm not going to get too excited as of now. And continue to not get too excited.
I was going to go say,
continues to...
I would love to see Dredge here, actually, just because I feel like he does provide a lot against Inara.
Yeah, no. Don't go there. We don't want to hurt the fans' experience here.
He doesn't exist anymore.
I'll get excited when there is a Dredge. Cassie taken. That's pretty standard for sure. She's going to give the team members of Team Cryptik a chance to do the dang thing. We are getting going in set number 2 for the day. It's ZAGA, it's Cryptik. Somebody's going home. Let's send it to the casters for this set. Pretty Hair and Vox.
ZAGA and Cryptik here. You're right. Got to send somebody else home. It hurts every time, but we got to do it all the same. That's right. What do you have in your book of
I have
mysteries?
doodles, a lot of drafts, some notes in here.
Let me see your best
as
doodle.
well as what's my best doodle?
Your best
Andrew doodle.
I took it away from him before he could do it himself, boys. I'm getting better and better someday.
You're preempting the puns. I'm proud of you. You've come on so far. The original Grover guy, right here, that I stole that from. And we come through to Bright Marsh, folks. This is going to be a fun one. I'm really ready for it. Glad we saw the Cassie pick come through last rather than anything else. I think it's good counterplay. But one thing we were remarking on just before is like seeing that Eevee ban come on through from ZAGA. Flanks have been kind of the sleepers of this tournament so far. It feels like everything's dictated by damage. Everything's dictated by like the front lines especially. But then the flanks are the ones which are really making plays right now. So far looking at talents, everything is exactly as you would expect. Toot running the morale boost Khan, I think that's valuable so far. We've seen Khan especially yesterday, Khan in the first day won a lot, played by teams that typically win a lot. Khan yesterday didn't win a lot, played by teams that like to lose a lot. But the teams that lose tend not to really do much with their ults, and Toot gets a kill on a Moondog already. Good God.
There it is. And it's that delicate dance of just sitting an R on the objective and taking that 4v5
Yeah, it's
fight.
how long can I stay mounted for? That's the challenge, right? I think we had that set pretty high yesterday. Was
120, dude.
Was that Freeze Guard?
It was, yes.
On the Androxus on Jack Falls. Yeah, we're going to have to see if we can beat that at some point, but not happening today, folks. Extra Minia looks for some damage. Sad6 shuts him down, but I mean, look at this pressure from Cryptik onto ZAGA right now.
All up in the back line there. Moondog will fall. Fario will answer back, though. Hanakamaker still in control of the objective, despite all of that bloodshed over on the sides of the map. ZAGA talent take a 69% to nothing lead.
I'm going to throw a bit of an anecdotal stat at you real fast. You might be shocked by it, Nick. Inara, right? You know, this champion that's so
I know who that is.
hard to kill.
Indeed.
Shockingly hard to kill right now. I mean, look at this, especially when paired with a Torvald. Do you think Inara is just a healing sponge normally? Earthen Guard goes down. Oh, I don't have all the extra healing. On goes the bubble, and there's not much you can do. But Go Zig says, Cassie, Team Cryptik, it's time for them to hit the gas pedal.
Pretty decent burst wimbo there, but I mean, Extra Minia not able to get a whole lot accomplished on the Talus. Talus has been a real kind of underperforming champion for me today.
Yeah.
It's difficult. Like when you look at the Zen, right? You're swinging, you get a bubble, you're still just swinging. When you have this Talus, you have to worry about lining up overpower.
Nick, we saw ZAGA pull out the Talus yesterday versus Sour Team on this map. It was on Bright Marsh again, and they looked really underwhelming with it. Extra Minia just had like half the damage of the next highest damage dealer or something like that. It really wasn't good coming through from them. And whilst there was great target prioritization in a couple of highlight clips, they were just shut down far too easily, but Team Cryptik are being shut down right now.
What an incredible team fight there. The Dread Serpent, the seismic crash, Enlightenment being held onto the entire time despite Moondog having to be the one to touch. That was beautifully executed by ZAGA Talent Gaming with confidence. They come through and they just bully Cryptik out.
How can you have confidence if Khan is on Team Cryptik? Asking the really difficult questions here, folks. Speaking of Khan, there's the overpower usage. That's what we're looking at when we draft a morale boost Khan right now. And Toot goes, I have it, I'm going to use it, I've got 2 minutes, I'm going to get it back again. I like that. I really, really like that. People often hold overpower and go, we're only going to use this on the objective because it's the point win teamfight ultimate ride. But there are so many opportunities that you can use it just to get an edge during pushes and then still have it available if you get your itemization online.
150 on the clock now. ZAGA Talent trying to push this one through to home base, but very, very strapped for resources here. Not many ultimates to go around, whereas Cryptik, not necessarily the same story, but you take one step out of line on that zone and you can easily be taken down while you're on the back foot. Zetha falls lower and lower here. Pule, I'm not sure where he was trying to get to, but he doesn't actually end up making it there.
Taking a bit of a lesson out of meta push's book there. Hold W.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm not really sure what was going on. Maybe that was just a reset call or something like that, because that seemed.
Who was dead though? I mean,
very odd. Maybe it was. Ooh, it might have been lining up for a hyper beam actually, because there is that one spot on Bright Marsh you can stand there and you can get some kills with it. But I mean, Pulioli's already back in the fight. In the time we've been talking about him being dead, he's already back, and this one is ready. Toot, half health, very low. Out comes the Immortal.
Early Immortal there, so that means that this Fernando can just be poked, right? It only prevents you from going below 1500. Oh, that shield is going to absorb the Hyper Beam. Here comes the fear from Maldamba as well, but nothing really connecting on this front. Exterminia takes down Toot Toot. Kammaker looking, hunting for a backline pick. The Slither is timed beautifully. Kammaker can't decide where he wants to go.
Got a contest, Nick. This could be the end. Oh, look at that nullify. That is perfect. No shield, no nothing because of Torvald's shutdown silence. And then you're just helpless for a Talus to dump all of that damage into you. What a beautiful coordinated push from ZAGA.
Love it. Love what we're seeing here. From ZAGA coming alive after a kind of a rough start. I love this dive as well. So coordinated. This Leon was absolutely pegging the Willow the entire time. The True Power had her locked down, and the Talus damage was almost unnecessary at that point.
And you know what? The thing that was really remarkable about there is Fariel 0 deaths, by the way, was that Team Cryptik were zoning so aggressively at that point that it looked like they'd already got the capture. You know, I was a little bit surprised to look back at it again and go, oh, goodness, this isn't Cryptik having the capture on the payload push. This is Cryptik still just trying to zone aggressively, and again, maybe taking a little bit too much there, a little bit too much in their stride and getting punished for it.
They certainly didn't back down. ZAGA Talent, despite giving up the first blood, everyone scouted out. Exterminia, no real secrets about the flank route that he is taking.
Yeah,
he
but
knows he's popped out.
It draws fire right as well, and that's the really important thing, is that Cassie's spending time just trying to lock off that angle, so you can maybe use that opportunity to reposition and relocate a couple of members and get a bit of a flank going on, but does not happen. Puliuli goes down, and that's not setting up anything good for Team Cryptik, despite ZAGA already having 24% to 0 right now.
That's another really awkward pick. We're seeing Puliuli just give up on the Torvald here. This is a guy that is new to this squad. ZAGA Talent had to sub him in. He was supposed to kind of just come as a coach, right? So having to have him step into this role now, playing with a completely new team, a team where he's used to just dominating. Puliuli is not used to much resistance being put up against him in his games of Paladins. 97% comeback mechanic enabled for Cryptik. Both frontliners dead. This is looking grim.
It really, really is. I still think the supports on both teams are actually yet to die, but they're just not getting that involved in the fights. Team Cryptik, they don't need to get Ying involved in the fights at all. ZAGA Talent Gaming, they need to get somebody involved in there, but this was one of the hindrances, I guess. And this is what we saw a little bit of Exterminia do yesterday on Talus, is when they're not kind of rolling over people, they're having a really difficult time, just like that.
And you could see, you know, we mentioned multiple times the anti-flank pressure that Cassie brings.
Oh, yeah.
Almost 100 zeros. Exterminia just right out of the gate there. Locked down by the Commander's grab. Uber Spady cleans up the kill. That's one pick. That's ZAGA Talent now on the back foot. Team Cryptik might be able to just walk them down. Maldamba diving in onto the objective.
This is a reset call. This has to be at that point. We're going to jump on in. Maybe we can get a kill, but if we die now, we can all be respawned up on the high ground, especially with maybe you stick the Leon up there where she's safe away from some of the, maybe the Cassie, maybe the Willow. If they don't die there, they get very staggered, and at that point, you're relying on things like, you know, maybe the Hyper Beam to push people away, as you can just immortal a payload through.
And Fario drops super, super low. That Dread Serpent, man, that doesn't really accomplish much. I think it may have, because it did not fear the Willow there. Doesn't matter. Exterminia manages to pull two down with him before Runu traveling out successfully. What a beautiful dive there. Now they will simply stagger this Fernando out.
Oh, I like this.
Respawns. And Kammaker, his life claimed by Exterminia. 1 minute on the clock, though. So much time for Team Cryptik to go home, maybe spend some of those credits, and give this another good go.
And what did that defense cost as well, as we see the overpower come through onto Puliuli again. I mean, that's been the story of this game so far, is how much can we punish the Torvald, right? And I love that. You see the Torvald down, you hold him in place, you just kill him. All of a sudden, you're not enabling this, this Talus as much as you could be.
There it is, 40 seconds on the clock, and looking like they're going to need all of it. Cryptik are hitting the gas pedal. Overpower was used. Immortal was just used, but we got to remember, this is just to tie up the game. Exterminia barely squeaks away. Puliuli already taking one with him before he goes down to 2-2. Commander's grab damage enough to do the dirty deed. Grafies takes down Exterminia. Uber Spady getting involved. Everyone from Team Cryptik is finding a way to get the frags.
Look at this Ying healing Nick just coming through the illusory rift. It's so much. Cauterize 3, and it's still stacking up. Up goes the battle shout, and what do you do to this? That's Team Cryptik. They get an easy push right there, and it cost a few ultimates, right? And it was just to equalize, but I think that's worth it.
We'll have to see. It'll all be revealed in time as we head into the next round. Before we take a look at our INAP instant replay here, Ubi Spady up into the air, finding a lot of pressure. This guy played a little bit for NIP when they were still fishing around for the ultimate player that was Digidog that ended up with the spot. So he's played in the PPL, he's heard those comms, he's seen those strategies, he's been in those pressure situations. And he was one of my key players that I wanted to highlight on Team Cryptik as a guy that they could really rally around, a guy who has played at a level elevated above the rest of the squad, and hopefully he can step up and sort of be a bit of a leader for this team.
You know, critically as well, Uberspady plays blasters. ZAGA yet to die, by the way, 23 streak on Ying. That's pretty impressive, but Uberspady plays a lot of blasters. We don't have, this is one thing we remark about North America a lot, is that there aren't as many standout blaster players in the NA scene as there are in the EU scene, and Uberspady is definitely one of those, but Moondog's trying to chase him down. Oh my god, look at this angle. How are they still alive?
Very, very close here. Getting a lot of poke on anyone, but nobody really under half yet for ZAGA Talent. Finally, one drops down. It's Zetha. Exterminia. He looks like he wants to hit the gas pedal, though, but so much chaos happening in this small, encapsulated little space. Pule Ule hits the Hyper Beam, forces everyone into timeout, and the damage is actually enough to pick up a kill and finally shut down that 23 streak.
I'm a little bit confused about Exterminia's decision-making right there, though, was, oh my goodness, look at this. The overpower comes through again onto Pule Ule. What are we, 4 for 4 at this point? The thing that I'm finding really remarkable about that is you teleport back with Talus,
choked.
you have Inner Strength for your Rune of Travel reset on cooldowns, you have Field Study Torvald bubble on you, and you don't activate your overcharge again. You don't activate that extra damage boost, and you don't go in and try and get the kills. It's just little things with decision-making again. Hesitancy, Nick, is the name of the game here.
87% for ZAGA Talent on the objective. Cryptik back in the driver's seat, however, and they are closing that gap.
Look at this. Inara's out-damaging Talus right now. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. They're just the little decisions which Talus is getting shut down, or Talus just isn't hitting the gas pedal when they need to. And here we go. Ying ult from Team Cryptik. They're trying to hold.
Juicy Inara ultimate here, lining up the Immortal to shut down all of that aggression. Graphies dropped to his 1500 HP threshold, but no lower. Kamikaze then pushes out, finds the kill on Exterminia, creating space for Graphies to go to work, who's already picked up Pule Ule, and everyone, again, getting involved. Team Cryptik, look at all the different names in the kill feed.
I love also the strategy from Team Cryptik here, Nick, as they go, okay, well, we've got the raid boss Inara on the objective. Let's just deal with everybody else first, right? We know that the Inara is not much of a damage threat by herself. Pule Ule as a tank isn't really creating much peel pressure unless they get their nullify onto somebody, so we can just kind of cut off everything else, cut off the blood supply, and then deal with that tanky front line.
Speaking of the blood supply, is it because of so much focus onto Pule Ule that Talus is having trouble getting this damage out?
I honestly think that what we saw yesterday as, oh, what an enlightenment to Uberspady. Good shutdown from Moondog, by the way. But, you know, when we saw ZAGA playing Sour Team, the Talus was played alongside a Barak and a Khan. I don't think it's the shutdown onto Pule Ule that's causing this, even though Pule Ule was playing that kind of enabler Khan during that game on Bright Marsh. I think this just, you know, Exterminia's Talus on this map, it just isn't great. Straight up.
I have not seen a Talus performance that has really blown me away yet this event.
I want to see a Xin here. I mean, we saw an interesting Talus ride. The one that comes to mind is Frozen Guard SK versus Kanga Esports. And even then, it was the Eevee that stole the show. It was just consistent performance.
Yeah, Invoco I think did kind of pop off there. You're right. It's definitely worth noticing.
But that was the only one.
Yeah.
I think, that, again,
and
Xin is just more reliable here.
There's been a good amount of Talus this tournament.
Talus has been picked a surprising amount. They're one of the picks which we talked about a little bit beforehand. Teams saying like, oh, this is a really good one. This is something we'll see a lot more of. But I think it's more map specific and more map dependent than people are really giving it credit for.
I don't think a lot of guys have it in the wheelhouse. It is not an easy pick to pull off, but when you do, it can do some pretty insane things. Exterminia just sort of surrenders his life. It's going to be 8 seconds before he's respawned onto the battlefield here. Cryptik fighting into a 5v4, but ZAGA Talent not giving them anything. There's a couple of ultimates for either side here, but I have to imagine ZAGA have the advantage here, and they're going to look to stay in the game.
Oh, I like the focus on the Willow right now. If they can find it, it's huge, but Pule Ule goes down. Kamikaze finds that kill, and it's Fae Flight into the air, Nick. This is Team Cryptik looking to close out, and there's nothing that ZAGA can do if they can't get a kill here with that Enlightenment.
30 seconds. Every ultimate used by ZAGA Talent Gaming. They are winning this fight by a small margin. 2 for 1 so far in favor of the defense. Kamikaze throws up the shield. And there is just no more lethality coming from this backline here. Moondog shuts 2 down, and really the story's all about Moondog at the moment. Exterminia was the guy that I wanted to watch coming into this event, but Moondog has been putting up insane numbers in Game 1.
And just doing what you need a Leon to do, right? It's the consistency here which I feel is helping hold ZAGA Talent Gaming in. Team Cryptik, they do retain a couple of ultimates coming out of this. They might try, no, not even going to try and push that into overtime, but just overall, I don't know. Team Cryptik looked like they had that in the bag. We saw Extraminia dive in onto the objective and just get evaporated like that, but it was Moondog, as you said, holding it down, getting a couple of crucial kills and providing some great pressure. Let's check out our INAP instant replay, and I think this might be right at the beginning. It's Uber Spady getting shut down by Puli Uli right there in the Fae Flight, and this is the Hyper Beam, which did allow them to at least turn the tide initially.
And he just puts his foot down and says, "You're not going to make it out of here alive." Pushes everyone into the corner there. Manages to pick one up as well. And you got to definitely shout out Zetha here. He is 6-10, but 91,000 damage against 2 shielding frontliners as well. That's impressive that she's been able to get that much damage through and to stick.
It makes sense, right, when you consider that it stacks up against the deployables and you place your Waters field down with 2 Ying illusions around. It's pretty significant. And looking at this as well, oh, 2-2's use the overpower. Did that not find anybody right there?
I don't believe it did. Zetha is the
goodness.
first one to fall there as well. Immortal comes out bright and early, and overpower used. Everything from Cryptik Burn to get onto this objective early. They want to control the map going into the later final moments of this game. 3-3, 15 minutes on the clock, 36% for Cryptik, and climbing now. They've put themselves in a good spot. The dead zone goes out onto Inara. No more healing. She simply cannot walk out onto the objective. Willow, the only character that can do that.
And here we go. Here's the illusory rift from Ying as well. Team Cryptik, they had that ultimate come up. They're trying to make use of it. Oh no, Fae Flight is available too. It's 84%. It is being stalled out right now for Team Cryptik, but Puliuli's down. Extraminia finds one. Can they find a second on the Kamika?
Is this the way back in? Has the true power available? No more cooldowns. Tries to go into the ultimate, but just blown up by Cassie. 87%. Khan still on the objective, fighting at about 50% HP here. Enlightenment rips through. It's going to be good for the kill as well. The bubble amplifies the damage. Fae Flight comes through, 99%. Trying and fighting with everything that they have. The reset comes through, so this Enlightenment climbing back to 70%. Moondog might have another one for the
problem
boys.
Is, look where Kamika is, forcing everybody back.
Big
shot. Nothing from Puliuli right there. Extraminia takes out Uber Spady, though. That is huge. No more dead zone, Nick.
Pule does get one there. He picks up the Ying there. Moondog manages to take down Kamika. 99% still for Cryptik, but map control back. What is that assassination onto the support? What an opportunity.
You're never safe.
Graphies may have just breathed new life.
Dude, he's trying to get in here. They're going around the battle shout as well. Here comes the Enlightenment. The wall is so perfect, but that's the main objective opening free, and Zetha's about to fall here. Somebody's got to pull out mad damage. Uber Spady gets it, but it's not enough for the kill.
Oh my goodness, Ying. No, she's going to escape. She gets around the corner there, and Cryptik steal it away. ZAGA talent just can't get it done when it all comes down to the wire. Cryptik, by a razor-thin margin, are able to take Bright Marsh home.
Just nobody steps onto the objective right there. If the Leon managed to get a toe on there, it would still be in contest. Probably still be going on at this point, folks. But right there, I think that is the determining factor. Ying escapes. Moondog can't hit the shots on it right at the end, and that just makes all the difference there, Nick.
So close, man. That Ying had to have had less than 70 HP there. And again, it's Puleule kind of disseminating communication down the line when you look at that team shot there. Hopefully these guys can rally and not get frustrated. This is just a best of 3. They need to bounce back next game. Let's send it back to the desk and keep this set moving.
The slide heard around the world, just a little bit to the right. Gore, what is there to say about that one? I mean, that's just error.
And it's a narrow miss, too, right? It's like there is one moment, and you even potentially get 2 kills right in one area. There's a Cassie, there's a Ying, and that changes a lot. But there was no pressure on the point. There was no pressure coming around from the team. You lose your Inara, who has been phenomenal all game, but that's the moment that it mattered the most. And unfortunately, ZAGA just saw it through the window as it flew away.
As it flew away, it was a rough thing to watch because that's not usual. It happens all the time in games, but in a moment like this, to take your eye off the ball, to know it's 99, and you gotta get on the. You have to contest. It's such a good job in the first round, but he goes for the kill. He's frustrated. He's one shot away. He slides to get the angle to find the kill onto the support, and he misses the point by an inch. And then you could see Cryptik's faces. They're all just like, all right, well, all right, good job, guys, nice. Crushing for me, and I'm sure ZAGA fans
so
to
much
see.
that went so right. That's like the worst moment to end it on, right? Because that's the one everyone's going to remember now. Moondog's Leon was impressive so many times throughout that entire game. 10 and 9, the slash line doesn't really read it. I'm sure the damage charts are going to be there. And just when he was able to find those kills, there were a lot of moments where it's just like something goes wrong with Exterminia, something goes wrong with Zetha, and it all falls onto him.
Yeah.
And he was able to make the plays every time except for the end.
I liked Uber Spady here in this game too, and Graphies with a great KDA. Graphies nearly a 3-to-1. If you add KDA, it's probably 4-to-1 performance, which is fantastic. But Uber Spady makes some big plays here. He dies very quickly, and here's the moment that we were talking about. He tries to hit this shot, misses it twice, has to reload, goes for the angle, but doesn't touch the point because he's trying to finish the kill, and that means that overtime ticks down and Cryptik win anyways. Ay. That was
So
not
many.
what you want to see. That one's going to haunt you. And I know it, but you know what? You got to wipe it off, Corey. You got to just, you know, next.
Especially for game one.
You
right? Like you
absolutely
have
have to
to
wipe
go
it off,
into
yeah.
another game after that moment, and you're recognizing, okay, that goes wrong. That's what's burned into their mind. But that's such a good synopsis for everything that was going great. Moondog has a phenomenal performance, and at the end something slips through. The same thing goes Exterminia. The Talus, even when it was having some great moments, it was getting shut down a ton. The same thing goes for the Torvald. Like there were so many things that it felt like were countered out, or they were playing against themselves sometimes. And it's just, if ZAGA can change up a little bit of their drafting style, I think it will make the stars align a little bit better.
You know what it reminds me of? We'll talk about how they can change that draft in just a second as we get into it for game two. It reminds me of a moment where everyone looks at like the symptom, like the ultimate thing that shows up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you got the chicken pox, or maybe you're sick, and you're just talking about what it feels like, but you don't look at why that happened. You know, what did you have to walk 2 miles in the cold, you know, while you had to basically were wet from getting out of a pool or something, and that's why you got sick? Maybe you shouldn't have done that without a towel. And I think what that moment was, is a crazy as an analogy that was Graphy S finds an early kill on to Maldamba. Ferial falls, and essentially that is what forces these damage dealers to have to be on the point, because Zetha has no sustain, because right here in this moment, hello, see you later. That was what really
changes the game.
That was really what forced Moondog into that position, so you can't really blame it all on Moondog here.
The shot hurt around Bright Marsh.
And the slide hurt around
Bright Marsh as well.
the Bright Marsh.
Or maybe it is the Realm. Maybe everyone's hearing that. It's echoed
Slide
in Stone
hurt around the
Keep
Realm, yeah.
as the way things have been going. I mean, a lot of things that went well
Yeah.
overall for Cryptik. There were obviously some moments where they slipped up, where they tripped up, but the Ying, as well as having Willow, Cassie, Fernando, they were all putting in work that were just making so much difference. And there were a lot of moments where it's like, well, Khan's not obviously impacting the game, but then you start seeing, well, he happened to hit Cassie with that battle shot. Now Graphy S is having a huge impact. Like, those moments made such a big difference. That's part of the reason we see Khan banned out so much.
How do you feel about the blaster situation? Because the teams that have kind of been winning that I've noticed have been able to take the Willow, get a decent lineup, and just have AoE pressure. And a lot of the teams that have been trying to have this uphill battle, they've gone with the Talus, they've gone with even the Cassie to augment, although we haven't seen that. We've seen the Zen sometimes as well, but really no AoE pressure because they're not taking Dredge, and they're banning out all the other options.
And that is what it comes down to. There's a reason in the fall split the bans were always Drogo's Willow. It was always both blasters, because if you ban one, if I'm ZAGA and I ban Drogo's, my plan has to be get Willow. If you go for the Inara over the Willow, then you're putting yourself in a position to not only just give that up, but also looking at the fact that they're going to have the one blaster that's being run right now. If you're not willing to put the Dredge in, if you're not willing to try and run an Eevee even in a similar kind of style, or try to put her in at least to have some AoE damage, then you're going to be missing out on so much compared to now all you have is Willow just sitting in the back line, splashing 3 people with all of her damage.
So interesting to note, that was Zaga's map 1. Map 2 is Jaguar Falls, and this is going to be Cryptik's map. They'll take first pick, as a lot of the teams that do take first pick or have map pick do to elect to choose. They will ban out the Androxus early, and it puts a little bit of pressure on ZAGA. They lost here, but it was a close match yesterday when they were facing off against our team. How do you feel about this squad? You think they're going to be able to bounce back and respond?
I think so, but I do say Cryptik has done a lot of homework to ban out the Androxus first. I think that's something that not only is just a Jaguar Falls thing, but I think it is also very specifically LATAM. This team has a few players that are very good. That's part of the reason yesterday went so long against our team. And I'm excited to see what ZAGA can do with it, but again, we're seeing Talus kind of rise in the ranks, and I think there are a lot of good moments for Talus. But I think other flanks are kind of getting glanced over in order to bring him in.
I mean, do you get Torvald Willow here and feel good about yourself?
Oh, I would.
And they're going to go Khan. But see, you know, I like the Khan. You go Khan Willow. I don't mind it.
I had to hold my breath for a second.
Now you give Torvald, Inara, plus Leon. Torvald, Inara, plus Cass. Torvald, Inara, plus damage dealer of choice, unless they try to optimize for their healers here, which we've seen some teams do. We saw it lasted as well with the Renegades getting that Ying very early.
And I expect to see her come through. Yeah, just picked up right there because, again, one of the things about Willow, one of the things that makes Moldamba a little harder, Genos a little harder, like, well, maybe not Genos to an extent, except for the fact that he just doesn't output the healing numbers. But then you look at Grok, you look at any of the other supports, and it's all very isolated healing. It's part of the reason Furia has kind of fallen off. It's just all very isolated. In one spot, Dead Zone cuts it off. Ying doesn't have that to the full extent. If your illusions are on the side, it's really about where is the person standing. Are they in dead zone? Are they out of dead zone? Can you hit them with your life exchange? Or is your ult available? Because either way, that dead zone is not going to be able to connect to all 5 members.
Totally. I swear these two could switch places, and that was what we would have looked at yesterday. Doesn't it? Isn't it? It was.
Yeah.
You know, we see the talking and the animation on the left side, and then the Stone Cold kind of like maybe a lot of questions like, what do we do, guys? Are we just reacting here? Very interesting dynamic to notice how things have shifted towards the way of Cryptik and their whole booth mentality. Now ZAGA, with the Barrack and Damba, leave open a damage slot at the end. Still no Torvald, Cryptik. They could grab it here, but they're going to take the Ashe instead. So no Torvald in this game.
I like Ashe on this map, though. I think one of the things, when you have Torvald, you have to play a little bit more patiently, or at least one of your front lines is kind of hanging out with your support. They're never really in the fight. But if you do go for the Ashe, you have a lot of pressure. Grok is something
Virtus
that Virtus Pro pulled it out.
Virtus Pro
against Ying, against Inara, they showcased why it was really good. No one else has touched it.
You know what? This sounds like Pule Ule, man. This sounds like a guy who's a veteran in the Paladin scene, helping to direct these drafts, these comms, doing the research, because you could tell that he's a guy who takes things seriously, and he has. That is what, you know, very nearly champions of this former Latin American representative in Nocturnes showcase the best, their drafting capabilities. The Grok getting hovered, but not locked in, so it does take a little second for them to, you know, maybe say, guys, are we sure we want to do this? But, I like it.
Well, it's that off pick, right, where you know you're making a risk.
Yeah.
Grok is not someone who has been this stellar performer. Grok is someone that has come through. Virtus Pro ran it, and you have to say, well, it was Virtus Pro, and they were going up against a team they were leagues ahead of. Is this going to be enough for them?
Absolutely love this. The dynamics have shifted. Cryptik about to advance and send ZAGA Talent Gaming home, a team that a lot of people had advancing to HRX. Let's send it over to Pretty Hair and Vox to cast the action.
Game number 2 here, Jaguar Falls. And a little bit of a spicy pick coming out here for ZAGA Talent Gaming. Something that they have seen work, but nothing that I think they expected to be running coming into this event. What are your thoughts on the 10th pick Grok? As we get to the action here, ZAGA Talent Gaming look like they might have an opportunity to make some waves with the Grok pick here, lining it up.
Overall, Nick, I'm just excited to see a composition which isn't double frontline, double DPS, and we have got a support in here. Even though Grok's technically a DPS, it's just different, right? It's just interesting, but so far it's
so far no good.
Not making the difference. The totem energy is not big today.
And I
Look
think
at that stagger. Oh, that is a rude stagger. That is.
Bouncing him on the head too.
I mean, hey, if you're going to be kept alive, right, you might as well try and contest and just buy a couple of seconds. But
that's rough. That's a rough start here for ZAGA Talent Gaming. 75% to 12 on the objective. All the poke coming out onto the Willow there. There is just no respite.
Look at that target focus, right? The Willow goes up, the Willow gets forced out again. That is Team Cryptik just knowing their cause right now and knowing that they've got to shoot very specific targets to make this composition work. It's working out so well. It's like at the first capture, 220 on the payload clock. An under 2-minute capture, Nick. That is a speedy one for a Jaguar Falls game.
You know, you and I talk a lot about, you know,
Grover.
execution of
Oh.
draft. Well,
Okay.
you're not wrong, but a lot of execution of drafts. And in my opinion, Grok is it's a little bit more of a thing. You got to ramp it up, right? You got to get those shock pulses flowing through. It's not something you kind of just like muscle through. It's just like pedal to the metal. And I feel like that's kind of the way ZAGA Talent went about it.
The whole thing with Grok, right, is the shock pulses, they're not big burst damage.
No.
It's consistent AoE, or it's spread damage, I think is the best way we can refer to it. You soften them up, and then you dismantle them. It's not a case of like, oh, we go in hard, we like slam a shock pulse in, and then everybody's dead. You've really got to go ahead and just consider the fact that you've got to weaken your enemy first before doing anything. And right now, bouncing shock pulses off to 2 or 3 opponents is a great way to do that. Misses onto Sadzik right there, who does manage to escape, and 2-2 did stag it out slightly. So Team Cryptik, they've gotten themselves into a really good position, but ZAGA now with some ultimates online as well, I think they're in a very good place to be able to defend.
And that's what Perdo was able to do so well. Is kind of like chill for a little while. He made sure he basically always shock pulsed a Ying clone. He basically never missed.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, that was the constant pressure. He lulled his enemies into a false sense of security around their Ying clones, around their teammates, and that's where he would punish them.
Now, one of the interesting things that I'm seeing here is that was a bit of an early shock pulse, and True Power comes on through. We're going to have to hold that Thought Neck as Graphies goes straight to the back line and finds Moondog.
I mean, these are just not the engagements for Grok. I'm seeing like a couple of ticks here, a couple of ticks there, this lightning staff, shock pulse missing. This is just not the momentum that Grok needs, but that's the type of pick that it is. If it's not landing, if it's not getting massive bounces around these team fights, then it is simply not going to be effective.
Well, here's one of the bigger things that I noticed as well. When that Inara comes up and forces their way through Secret, the thing that I'm seeing is that Inara stands there, pops the Earthen Guard, Grok uses Shock Pulse. Who are you looking to bounce it off of? Like, what are you actually achieving with that? It seems like this is, again, we've seen this pick work out, so let's give it a shot, right? I mean, what have we got to lose at this point? It's our elimination game. If we don't win this, we are going home. So we've got to try something different. And so far, the copycat style isn't playing out like the originals.
And it's very difficult to do that with a pick like Grok. Perdo, do not get it twisted, is a veteran on this champion. There was a time where Grok was a pretty big part of the metagame.
I don't want to remember when Grok could kill everybody in a point fight with their ultimate. That is going back to early days of closed beta, folks.
Yeah, there's
and
been a lot of moments.
That's not even Sow the Seed. That was pre-ultimates. Oh my goodness.
This is Perdo. He's such a veteran player. He has just about seen it all. This is a very new school team from ZAGA Talent Gaming. Extraminia,
Willow up.
he just does not have the experience that Perdo does, probably operating with this pick. Virtus Pro looked much better with it. Graphies manages to find 2. Moondog is just flapping around into the wind, not finding any damage.
That's the whole thing. You're getting zero pressure with the Fayfly ride. That's the I go up, everybody either has to shoot me and then they die because the rest of my team collapses, or I get a ton of damage off and I just do something. And Moondog tried to take the peripheral fight there. The only place that you can really use Fayflight on Jag is straight down the middle if people are contesting, or around that Darkroom edge, the waterfall statue area, when people are out there. And they clearly weren't. Team Cryptik know how to respond to it. They just go and stand indoors. Easy cap.
I hate to send you know, a set home early before it's actually over, but this is a best of 3. This is a ton of momentum for Team Cryptik here. I think we may be saying goodbye to our Latin American friends here fairly shortly unless a miracle comes together. There is the Illusory Rift popped, everyone being healed for Team Cryptik, but where are the kills? Where's the aggression? Where's the movement past half court?
It's really interesting to see Team Cryptik go, we're just going to stabilize with this, right? We're not going to take a little bit too much, but now they try and re-engage again. Down goes the Seismic Crash. Kamika finds one, Graphies finds another. Graphies having a feast right now with all of those headshots from Talus, and look at the difference
5
between
for nothing.
This Talus and Extraminia's Talus from last game, Nick. What a complete contrast.
Absolutely. I mean, there's just less pressure on him in the backline, right? Grok is not someone that you just hard target swap with and blow somebody up. It just doesn't happen that way. Willow has her burst combo, but really, I think Graphies has just been able to kind of run freely and have his way with these front lines.
Just bop the barrack down for low ground.
No.
Up goes Grok, down goes Grok. You're getting grounded, son, they say. Uber Spady finds Extraminia right here. Willow's trying to do something. Here comes the True Power. Holds the Moldamba in place, and sure, Khan can save their life for a second. The respawn is coming back on through in just a moment from ZAGA with their Grok. But it's only the Khan left alive right now and contesting. And how long is the Sign of House Ico going to be able to stagger for?
Well, putting a good effort up.
Still not dead.
Primus He is still
not
alive.
dead.
I don't believe it.
Hello?
My goodness
The
gracious.
jukes?
Finally being brought low there. The support's coming through. Good dead zone there. Manages to hit Ying and I believe Inaro. Ashen's up walking through it as well. So a lot of this healing shut down when it's all said and done. But
I
now
love
Willow
the
is
Swift
in an
Spirits too
awkward
as well. I
spot.
mean, look at how fast the Willow was moving. That's just helping keep him alive a little bit. Good support play, and Barak with the double bowling ball reset says we can keep this alive. But Team Cryptik, they slam down the Ash and say it's time for everybody to go home, Nick.
There it is. Only 27 seconds. The kills just keep pouring through. And what a way to capstone the victory there
fly
with an
swat there.
enlightenment. I like it. Smacks her right out of the sky. Team Cryptik looking very, very polished today and defeating 2 quick games. That was, close to a curb stomp 6-minute victory on Jaguar Falls. Not a lot of signs of life from ZAGA talent.
And so I guess I have a question for the desk with this one. With Team Cryptik, yesterday ZAGA looked like they were warming up in Game 2 on Jag. They did a really good job against Sour Team, pushing it to a 3-3 tied point and then a 4-3 in favor of Sour, who just had a bit of a better composition for the map, I think. And I thought maybe looking at this and how Team Cryptik got taken down by Armada, then maybe ZAGA Talent Gaming would be having a bit of an advantage here, but it turns out not to be the case. And I want to know whether the desk thinks this is ZAGA Talent Gaming not stepping up as much, or if Team Cryptik are the ones who really kicked it up a gear.
My 2 cents is they just kind of rolled the dice on this Grok pick and it didn't quite work out. Turns out it's not as easy as Perdo made it look. That's going to do it for us here and for this set. We're going to send it back over the desk as they take it away.
Thanks, Pretty Hair and Fox. You know what? I'll answer that question first, and then I'll throw it to you, Gore. I think the conversation is really that momentum is a big key for Latin American teams, and they lost it in that win. It was very demoralizing. There's not many momentum-sucking moments that you can really point to, but that slide for the Leon, that kill from Graphies or Grafis onto Ferial to get the healing off out of nowhere when they were backing off, that changed the tide. They went for something really off. Like, they went for the Grok, which was, we've seen it work, but there was some interesting drafting there that didn't really work out. It just wasn't the team, and I think it was less of Cryptik playing well, though they really did, and I think it was more of LATAM just not putting up a fight anymore.
I'll say I agree. I think ZAGA just didn't step up. I think it was not only just the momentum, but when it came down to it, and Vox had pointed this out at one point, but I mean, Exterminia, he's 1-6-1 on the Grok. There were several times where he's throwing a shock pulse into an Inara who's standing by herself with her Earthen Guard up. Like, it's just like, you picked the Grok, but you didn't know how to play the Grok. Just because it works for someone else doesn't mean you're going to be able to plug and play. Like, you have to figure out why was this working for them. What was Virtus Pro able to accomplish with him that made it work so well and just stomp people because it wasn't happening that game?
I mean, I was a little disappointed, too. I mean, I think Moondog, the way they took the fights was disappointing to me because there was just no clarity in where they were going. Moondog's Faith flighting takes about 5 seconds to get to anybody.
Yeah.
Then they just go under cover. He has to go all the way back around. There was just a lack of clarity. These point fights were won before they even started, it felt like, for Cryptik. And ZAGA were there just, like, scratching their heads, like, what do we do now? Of course, your Steel Series MVP, not on ZAGA Game. It's on Cryptik. Uber Spady, the man with the plan, who was with NIP earlier this season. He's going to take the honors for today. And you know what? Very well deserved. He had a lights-out performance on this Leon. Really, really shut down the 2 healers they had.
I mean, so many moments that were just won through small plays, being able to find 1v1s, hitting things like this shot right afterward. Not hitting your Enlightenment, but still being able to follow it up. A lot of players either turn, maybe forget. But there was never a point where I felt like ZAGA was in the driving seat for that second game, right? It was every single member of Cryptik. And going into this, I mean, look at the 3-0. Look at all the streaks at the top of the screen. 5 is the lowest, 12, 15, the 9 streak for Uber's Payday does end up falling down, I think, a little bit after that. But Ying goes undying.
Yeah.
The entire team is on a roll. And it just feels like ZAGA didn't know where to start. They had no clue where they wanted to turn their focus.
And truthfully, it does seem like the draft was a big issue. I actually thought that Latin America might do well against European teams because of the way that they have drafted traditionally. I mean, taking Navi to 7, getting these victories over very, impressive teams. But this is not the same team. And I don't think that they've got the same wiggle room that they had last time. They just didn't have the talent that they had. I mean, that roster of, Nocturnes Gaming back in January, unfortunately, those are just some of the best players we've seen in Paladins esports, period. As we see Thiel poking his head outside. Not over to Thiel. Guess who's getting ready to get playing? It's Fnatic and Kenga. But first, we've got an interview with the winners. It's Team Cryptik. Let's go ahead and listen to what they have to say after their victory.
Congratulations on your victory, guys, over ZAGA Talent Gaming. I don't know that I personally expected that to go as dominantly in your favor as you did. What were your expectations and preparations for this Latin American team today?
Maybe I will start. So actually, we were watching VODs of ZAGA. We prepared yesterday and today. That's actually all. Yes.
So just a little bit of research there as well. The one thing that I want to ask about is that Grok pick for us today seemed to come a little bit out of left field in that second game of Jag Falls. Now we'd seen Virtus Pro play it previously. It had worked out quite well, but was that something which you guys were expecting or something that you were prepared for? Because it didn't seem to really pick up much steam against you at all.
I think Grok, it's definitely possible to play Grok good, but it's also possible to just counter him by not stacking together and just pushing. We also got Lian, so her counter IC is actually pretty strong against him. And I guess Ash shield with the legendary is pretty strong, so he couldn't do anything.
Gamer, a question for you. You've been around the scene for a long time. You've played with a lot of household names back on that WASD sports team. What is it like for you in this role? Do you play the role of like the in-game leader since you are kind of like a veteran of the scene? Give us a little look inside of the way Team Cryptik operates.
Actually, I was one of the newest addition to the team, so I'm trying to help as much as possible. Sometimes actually team disagrees with me, but I think it's fine. You know, yesterday when we lost to Armada, I was thinking that they were one of the lowest skill team, but apparently they are actually really good. And coming today to this set, I knew that we can actually win this, and yeah, we did.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your victory and good luck to you in your further matches. We're going to send it back over for a quick little break.